Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I interview Austin Mason, who's a systems engineer for SAIC. If you want to hear what goes down in the field, then this is the video for you. So without further ado, let's discuss a day in the life of a systems engineer. So, Austin, can you start off telling us about your background, kind of how you were brought up and what led you to tech and your journey to how you got where you're at today?
No, of course. I hope I don't bore you and the people, but I love my journey of how I got into tech. So when I was young, I always literally like superheroes, and my favorite superhero was like Iron Man, Spider-Man, because they were, before they were out on the field saving people, they were more in the lab, and working on, gadgets here and there, and they were actually smart. And I was like, wow, I want to be smart. I want to work with gadgets like that. How do I do that? And believe it or not, my dad was a diehard computer science. So he coded for his whole life, like 30 years within NSA. So he knows all about computers, technology, anything that I was a kid that I wanted to know. He had knowledge of. He had all these books. So I started to read the books that he had in his office pertaining to code. I don't even know if there were certification books back then for him, but there was just different coding books for him that he had when he was in school. So I started to look at that. And I was like, oh, I really like IT. I really like how, the problem solving technology. I want to dig deeper in it. So as I got older, of course, and started, go to college and really got in my field, I tried computer science. And I didn't like it at first. I'll be honest, I didn't like it at first. And but it was good that I tried because it was something that I always wanted to do. And that was the first time I ever was hands-on experience as far as IT and coding and expecting, what real technology is and how it communicates to each other. I liked the idea of it, and I didn't want to go away from the field because that was something that I was really passionate about. I really was passionate about new age technology, building and finding things on my own. Of course, everyone did this, but when I just had like old laptops that my dad had or desktops or iPhones, I was just turning it into my own, either MP3 or anything. So I was like, I want to keep doing this. I want to keep striving. I know this is not the end. Even though computer science is really hard for me, I wanted to switch to a major where I was still in IT, but then I wanted to deal with kind of like the business side, how things were ran with technology incorporating to business. And that's where I went to Delaware State and I majored in management information systems, which was a good mix. It was like a beautiful mix between IT, business relations, how to incorporate yourself in the business world, how does IT incorporate itself into the business world, and what systems and operating systems that I'll be using in there. So I was like, okay, I'll give this a try. This might be in my fair ball game that I really want to move forward in. And once I did, I loved it. It was more of like a database. I learned about data tables, like data analysis. I was dealing with SQL, and I was dealing with all these operating systems, and I just loved it. And as I got further and further, I started to network with different, companies within college, like Deloitte or Microsoft or,
Right.
like government contracts that would come and just introduce themselves at the, career fair. And I would always talk to them and say, hey, what position are you guys, looking for within the company, or, what should I be expected once I get in the real world as a real job that I get to study for? And they were just saying, most of this world and most of these businesses is ran on operating systems, like a kind of chain of command, always like a system developing type world where everything is evolving and you always want to keep up to the next operating system or keep up to date, and as well as security. So once I heard that in college and I kind of got the scoop on what companies need, I kind of just went ahead and studied that and kept forward that passion. And I just wanted to learn more about that. So I switched to MIS. I left computer science and coding on a break, where I was still coding a little bit, but it wasn't like hard coding, like trying to, do a if or a if statement or a Boolean type. It was more of, plug and play, like Windows PowerShell. So I was in Python a little, so I was still happy with that. Still understanding what codes, like changing an IP address or making sure two computers working each other, like pinging together and stuff. So I was still working with computers and understanding the concepts of what people are using it in the business as well. So
Right.
after I graduated MIS, it was pretty hard trying to find a job out of college. Something I wanted to more of like an entry level, and where I did able to put me in in the fire when I first started graduated. But yeah, but just to backtrack, that's where I could say that's where I started. That's where my IT journey started. I would say with my dad and just learning the IT of when I seen on TV and just always fascinated with just phones, computers, and how things talk, like wires, cables, just networking, everything. And that's where I say I started from. Sorry, I started going on a tangent.
Oh no, it's all good, and I definitely understand. I was a
Yeah,
science major myself, and yeah, it's hard. It's a hard field.
it's very hard.
It's not for everybody. I'll definitely say that.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
and from my personal experience, I remember my junior year, my school got a cybersecurity track, and when they started the cybersecurity track, once I got in there, I found my love of cyber security, and I just kind of said, I don't care about the computer science classes anymore. I'll do the bare minimum to get by, and here's really where I want to focus at. So yeah,
Yeah,
I definitely understand.
and what you just said is actually perfect because that's literally the beauty of IT fields. It's broad. So if you like you said, if you don't like computer science, you go to cybersecurity. You can look at mitigations, vulnerabilities. That's a whole different side. You don't
Yeah,
like cybersecurity, you can go on the HRIS side, human software resources information systems. You can go down that route, and literally that's a IT, a whole payroll operating system. You can work that too. So yeah, that's literally one of the main reasons why I love IT. Like you're not subjugated to one field of IT. If you want to do cybersecurity, if you want to do just database, if you want to do hardware, like a data technician, you can do that. You could be someone that just works on hardware and never touches the system. That's why I love. That's one of the reasons why I love IT though. That's like one of my biggest things. It's such a broad field. You could work in anything. If you don't like something here, you can try to switch it. So
yeah,
I like
it's
about it.
always a lot to learn.
Yeah. Always. Yeah. You're learning every day. Learn every day.
um, are you comfortable saying where you work at?
Yeah. I work at SAIC. Science Applications International Corporation.
And so you're a systems engineer over there, right? Can you
Yep.
talk about what your responsibilities are?
Oh man, so this is I love talking about because I probably talk about this every day because it's one of the first jobs where it was a lot of more hands-on, a lot of more you know connecting to the different engineers and so many different government groups. So I work with SAIC and it's on Aberdeen Proving Ground, which is the Army base. So I'm contracted to the Army, and there's so many different projects that the Army has that they need to be deployed, that the soldiers need to use in the field. And I work on the various systems that needs to be up and running as they're out in the field, to track and do what they need to do, and etc. And so I work with the logistics team, I work with the IA team, the cybersecurity team. I work with literally everyone because everyone has to be involved, and that's what I also learned. That's what I also grasped too as a system engineer integrator. It's more than just learning about the software configuration. It's about the whole cycle.
Yeah,
So, and that's where I definitely learned it more in depth because of what was at stake. And what I mean by that is, if a code is wrong or something's off, it needs to be fixed then and there because it's just something that a soldier is going to be using and it can't mess up in the field. So basically, there was like, so for example, if it was a hardware, so for example, there's, you know, server racks that need to be, um, configured before they go out in the field, and the cables need to be specified by certain drawings. They need to be validated. And so that was like my first time, and I loved it, getting hands on the job, looking at electrical drawings, looking at mechanical drawings, going with the logistics team, making sure everything in the inventory is checked, making sure these operating systems up to date, actually configuring the whole operating system from scratch, from the boot iOS. Yeah, from there, learning about virtual machines every other day because what I learned is if you have a lot of operating system or a lot of jobs that need to be done, a lot of stuff is going to have to be run on virtual desktops. And I learned about that as well, like scanning virtual desktops, having bare metal servers connected to other virtual machines and having them, sustaining and maintaining on a day-to-day basis. So that's kind of what my day-to-day is like. It's different every day because of what needs to be done by the customer.
yeah,
Um, and this is like my first hands-on, like, contract government-based project where it's, something could change in a minute. This project could be done, or I have to switch to this project. And I love it because this is something I've never done before. I've never been this hands-on. I've never been so close to high commanders of the army, talking to them in the same room. It's just a great feeling. And it was just blessed to be there because it's like, wow, I didn't, it's funny, I don't know what I got myself into, but I love it type thing. So it's great because it's something new every day. So that's what I learned really more. And this job is really connecting the pieces and trying to you really have to really talk and network when you're doing this system development cycle, because everything has to be checked and verified. And I'm learning so much every day, stuff that I never thought I'd be doing. Like, for example, I never heard of Puppet. It's a coding command database module, and it's kind of like an automation for sysadmins, which I'm one of those too on the projects, where if someone's changing a folder or a file name, or wants to change the classification of a banner in their VM, I would just Puppet. I would configure that in Puppet, and if they try to change it, Puppet would notify them, say, hey, you can't do this because you're not the admin or this type of user. And I was like, wow, there's an automation for that. Like I can make that. So that's what I have to do. And I never heard of Puppet before. That I heard of Puppet language. I never heard of that. So I have, and it's also great because it makes me learn as I go, which, it could be scary to some people. At first it was for me, but then I was like, you know what, I can do this, because I didn't want to, I didn't want to back down. And I wanted to contribute to the project, and I wanted to understand what I was doing. So I was like, okay, I never heard of Puppet. Let's get it. Let me learn Puppet. Let me learn this every day. Let me ask questions. Let me ask the managers. And everyone in there is so knowledgeable and helpful, because they know that I'm new, and they know that there's certain things that I'm not good at, and there's certain things that I can add to the team that they would miss. And and I know that we all work together. But that's what I love about it. It's something new every day, and I'm learning something new every day. Like, for example, Linux was never in my repertoire. I never touched Linux. It's not to say I try to run from it, but it's just like, hey, if I don't need it, then I don't. But now it's like, the whole lab is run by Linux. So that's something I'm learning every single day. The commands, making sure I know exactly what file goes into what, know what I'm changing, know what I'm cloning, what data I could put in the repositories. So I'm learning something new every day, and I just love it. Like GitLab, I probably use that every day now as far as information, because we have our own GitLab within our own team. And I forgot to say that the team that I am with is quick reaction capabilities, and which is like SIGIT, signals. So that's what stuff we'll be looking at as well. But yeah, that's my day to day, man. It probably changes every day. I could be working in the lab, or I could be outside all day in the field, which I like that, because it's like, oh, I'm used to, sitting for 80 hours and just getting up and getting lunch and breaks, where, oh, I'm in the field, like I'm actually working, like I have gloves, like I'm like, which is fine with me, because, it was so funny when I first came in, I was thinking system engineer, some people are like, hey, we're gonna have to carry 50 pounds on the job and do all this. And, I'm like, yes, because it's like, if it happens, it's probably just a box they need for inventory. Right. Nah, man. Nah, man. The Army, as a system engineer, is pretty different. Like, everyone's involved, because you have to know. Like, you gotta know why this part's not working and why this part's not talking to this part. So it's I love it though. This is probably the best experience I had on the job ever. Because I'm learning something every day, and it's not repetitive. So I really do love it. I like it a lot.
So, and then working with the military helps a lot too. You learn
a
lot about systems and what they do.
Yeah, they're very cool. Good. Yeah, they're very thorough. They I had to get used to the personality, but I think once I got used to it, I was like, okay, this is home now. This is home.
Yeah, and I had a chance to work a little bit as a cybersecurity engineer on military weapon systems, and that was dope. That was a really cool experience, just to learn how their systems work, and just discuss different ways we can secure it, because again, like you said, these systems are going into the field, and you want them to be as secure as possible before they get there. So yeah, man, for sure. I would say that military systems is one of the coolest systems you can work on.
It is. It's cool, and it's very interesting, because you're just you're seeing everything, and you're seeing it work all together from scratch, especially if you've been there from the start of the project, or even when you're just coming on. It's like, wow, all these people working together, all what we're learning and what these, radio frequencies is and all this stuff. So it was like I didn't even know none of that. But I had
Yeah.
to do my job. So, but I love it though. I love it though.
Do you have any certifications?
I do not, which is I do not, but I am studying for my Linux, so I could get so I can get a Linux cert in that because I know the lab that I work in is mostly on Linux, only a little bit of Windows OS, but it's mostly Linux. But I want to try to get a cert in Linux. It's so funny. I tried to go for a cert when I was with Amazon, and they give you a boot camp, and I think it was A plus one. I think it was an A plus one core one and core two that I had to take, and they gave us like 4 chances, and it was on my first time ever studying. They're like, oh, this is so hard. The first time I didn't pass. I think it was like a terrible time. The second time I got closer. I was like, okay, this is getting easy. Then the third time I didn't pass by 10. I was like, oh man. But I didn't feel discouraged or anything. I just, I didn't want to let in for other people as well, because I know some people like try to tell other people, search. And there's some other people that say, if you have experience, search this. I tell anyone, there's not an end all be all of getting into IT. And if you want any route you go to, you're going to succeed in it and you work hard at it. And that's what I learned as well, because me having no certs and me coming this far and working with the people that I met and me, the knowledge that I have now and how well I can articulate what I do at work. And I have no certs. It's kind of like a blessing, or to show other people like, hey, I'm here. Don't discourage if you can't pass a cert, or if you don't, afford a cert, or just certain things. Like, you can work hard. You can get experiences from job and network to understand what you're doing, so you can better articulate to whoever's interviewing about what you're doing. Because some people have certs and say, well, this is my cert, and don't know what they do, have experience. So but I just want to tell every people that want to strive for a cert, strive for it. If you don't have it and you don't want to go that route, still do it and work hard, and you're gonna be successful either way. But I know certs is like the one thing is very helpful as well. Like, I would never knock it, of course. It's just something like, hey, if my job told me, hey, you got to get it, I'll study and I'll get it, of course. But far as knowledge and me experience, I've been here with no certs, and I'm still going, Lord willing. So, but yeah, that's something I do want to get though. I'm actually studying for Linux Plus, so I really hope that I pass this one and put a lot more effort in this, because this is something that I do want. It's not required, but I know it would help in my job and to my pilot as well, my resume. So, yeah. Oh, I do have one cert, but I don't know. It was when I was coming out of Delaware State, and it was when Microsoft first launched Teams, and I got certified in Microsoft Teams, but they're not really cert that DoD or anyone's like, hey.
I didn't even know you could do that. I didn't know you could get certified in Microsoft.
I didn't know either. I think it was through my school though. It was our Delaware State Information Technology Center.
Yeah.
And it was like, hey, it was us first graduating, like, if you want to cert and just go for the class. I was like, yeah, cert. Yeah, it's a cert. But yeah, that's the only cert I probably have. But yeah, that's how I feel about certs and stuff.
Yeah, and piggyback off of what you said, there is no right way to do it.
Yeah.
You can go and just work, get a lot of experience, work your way up that way. You can go out and get all the certs and apply for jobs and get something that way. I'm a big proponent of school. But that's just because that's the route that I went.
Right.
Yeah, man. And then as far as college, because I know there's this whole thing going on about is college a scam, and honestly, I might do a future video about that. Honestly.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there's the whole thing.
Yeah.
Is college a scam? Do you really need it?
Oh man.
I tell people all the time, I feel like college, yes, you're there to learn and everything, and yes, you can learn. With the age of technology we're in, you can learn everything without a degree.
That's true.
But I feel like college specifically brings you a lot of opportunities, and I feel like that's the part that makes it not a scam. You might be able to learn everything you can at home on Google or whatever, but in college, like you said, you have career fairs, you're able to network with people, you just are able to have more opportunities. So I'm actually glad you brought that up.
And I agree to that because it's so funny. I'm glad you brought that up too because a lot of Army people that I spoke to at work, they'll a majority, not all, military people go straight to either high school or they don't do college and they go straight to the Army, Navy, or whatever it is. And I talk to them a lot, and they'll say, yeah, I went back to school, I went back to school, and I think to me school is important because it also shows the degree, but also shows your work ethic and how determined you could stay for 4 years.
Yeah.
And that's what I heard about one of the managers. They say, yeah, the degree is good, but it's excellent because it shows us that you were committed. And if you're committed 4 years to that craft, then you know that you can be committed to us, job, or anything else. And I didn't look at it as that because I'm like, yeah, that is true. I mean, like if you want to call it, some people, scam because of finances and stuff. But either way, the pay that you're putting into that degree is going to pay out at the end of the day of that salary and what you save and what you do with that particular finance and what you want to do as far as owning and building businesses. So yeah, I think degrees is very important because again, it shows determination. It shows that you're willing to work. It shows that you're willing to put in the effort for 4 years because that is hard. Which it is hard. Like believe me, like getting a degree is hard because of the stuff that you have to do. It's a new environment. If you're not used to being, alone or doing your own thing, could be a new feeling for certain people. But yeah, because I also talk to a lot of people around my living area and my old friends. They don't have a degree or they don't have schooling, or sometimes they'll stop, in community college or just stop after high school. And so what I learned, you could get in the government as as a mentor or SimCorps, as like a security escort. I was like, okay, because I knew that, and I talked to a lot of them. They didn't go to school, and that's how they furthered their career. And they didn't have no degree or anything, and they got in through being a security escort and having a clearance, and then just starting with the entry level IT, and that was their schooling right there.
Yeah.
And I told a lot of people about that too, because there's no hope lost for anyone. And once I learned that, I told so many people, like, yeah, get here, do the security first, do security first, do security first, do security first. Because if you don't want to go to school or finance and stuff, start with security, get your foot in the door to full scope. And then once you're in there, opportunities it's literally endless because most of them will accept you and say, okay, well, you can start your entry. Because some, again, it goes back to either they look at degree and experience, and that's when they'll look at experience and say, we'll take a chance on this person, or we know this person's working and look where this person's coming from, look how they got here, so let's still offer them the job. So again, it goes back to literally how much work and effort you put in any route you go into, honestly.
Yeah, and then another thing you mentioned about not having certs. I just want, for the people watching this, certs are hard. And I want you guys to understand that. They're hard. If you haven't studied for one or taken one, they're hard. Just know to really commit to doing it. Personally, I took my Net Plus certification, completely bombed it. Then I went and I passed my Security Plus, and then I failed my Certified Ethical Hacker, my CEH. I failed that by I think one question. I think I failed by one question, and
man, that cert is hard. I heard so many stories about it. Ethical hacker, man. No, congratulations on passing Net Plus though as well. So yeah, but man, at least that's just good though, man. That's excellent because certs are very, very hard. Like that's why they give you like a 6-month, almost to a year time frame to study. But that's good, man. Congratulations on Net Plus though.
I appreciate it. Now I'm here studying for my CISSP, and I'm like, after this, no more. I'm done.
Man, you'll be top dog after those 2 certs, man.
Yeah.
You'll be top dog after those 2 certs.
What would you say is this can be about, what would you say is the best and the worst part of your job? This can be, this doesn't have to be directed at your company or anything, but just the job, system engineer. What would you say is?
Right. Okay. So, man, I would say as a system engineer and dealing with the whole process as a whole is, of course, dealing with errors, discrepancies of things that you didn't foresee before you touched the project. So I know a lot of times since I've been here, a bad thing that could happen is, like, for example, you're in a class, you're working on a project. Well, you're in a class and the person before you came to that class was working on your project. And they had that project for, let's say, 5, well, two weeks, whatever, and you didn't know what they did in that 2 weeks. You really have no communication because they're not on the project no more. Some contractors that were on the project, either they don't win it no more because they weren't doing their job or certain stuff X, Y, and Z. And when that happens, other contractors have to take over the project that was left off. But that can be also bad because we don't know where they left off at sometimes. The communication is not there. And you also doing double work and you have to double back on what was going on when you're supposed to be doing something that was due in next week or a quarterly or a next sprint. So that I would say is probably the hardest, and also maybe the worst part is trying to work backwards as well as trying to work forward and hitting a time frame, and then trying to explain why you need that time frame. That's probably, and not to say it's no one's fault, but it's like, okay, well, the time frame be pushed back not because of me, but because of this is not working. We found a missing cable. This connector is the wrong connector, or this software is the wrong software. Your customer wanted Linux, this is Windows, we might have to send it back. Or we scanned and patched this new laptop that you gave us going out to the field, but it came back with errors. This is the errors we found. And sometimes it's, you have to, when you send stuff back, it's usually vendors. Sometimes when you do scans or patches, you're basically first, scanning for vendor software, what's on there first, and then you got to see what's, what other things after that is what you can find. But most of the time it's what the vendor has, and they have to fix it back depending on what the operating system or the laptop is. That's probably the worst part, is trying to work backwards and getting stuff on time done. That's how I say probably the worst part. But the best part is, like I said, it's something new every day. I'm never working on anything new, and if I do, it's also going to be a problem. Like it's always something new every day, and a problem that you have to fix. Because once I learned in the IT field, and I got deeper, and with the Army and the securities, and the risk management and all the stuff that I was learning with them, is something always is going to happen. It's the best thing is to be prepared when it happens, and make sure you have the right team available, or the right person with you to walk the steps of that problem or what's going on. So that's the best part, is having your manager, your project lead, or anyone hands length away from you to help. So that's probably the best part, is just the help that you have. And that's, as a system integrator, you're not the only one that's on the project. Even logistics is helping with software. Even software is helping with hardware. Hardware is helping with software, logistics, and everywhere. So that's the best thing I like about it, is when everyone's helping.
Yeah, man.
That's probably the best part, when everyone's helping and learning at the same time. Because I'll have one of my hardware guys who's like my best friend. He would tell me about like everything about hardware if I don't know something pertaining to like an antenna, and I'm like, what is that? What does this do? What does this do? And he'll just explain it. And he'll ask me like, well, Austin, what is VLAN? What is a VM? How does that connect? How does that talk? And we're just teaching each other. That's the best part about my job, honestly.
Yeah, I remember maybe a year ago, I posted a video that was saying like 5 reasons why you should break into tech, and one of them was the community. The tech community is really great, and everyone's pretty much willing to help and share resources, and it's just really great. So iron sharpens iron. That's what they say. So
yep. It is one of the best things about the IT community. You'll always find help. You'll always find help.
For sure.
You'll always find help.
What would you say? If you had to give some advice to anyone just breaking into the field, anything specifically for them, what would it be?
First thing I would say to someone that wants to, start, in the IT field, or have a love or a passion for it, I would say, to learn which component of IT that you like, and hone in on that. Because like we talked about earlier, it's broad. So like, let's say a person came from, I'll take me an example. My first job was an IT consultant at Konica Minolta. It was basically a business solutions, small company that worked on everything in the office that you can think of: printers, CRM, ECM, enterprise content management, like virtual folders for customers in the office that had like file systems still and papers. It was a small company, and that was like my first real job out of college, and that was a good experience. And I was like, okay, I love IT, but I do not want to be in a consultant field. I loved it so much, but I didn't, that was me personally. I didn't like, I like learning the software and, either talking it to the CEOs or the tech tech writers or anyone who was in charge of that office as far as technology. I didn't mind talking to them and, selling products, but that just wasn't my thing. I wanted to get deeper into it. I wanted to be deeper. Like I didn't want to be the face of the selling product.
Yeah.
even though it was, it was still learning experience, because before you, sell a product, you have to know it very well and how it works. So
Yeah.
I was still learning about IT, even though that wasn't the main focus of my job. Because my main job was to go to the organizations or companies in that area to see if they needed an upgrade in their office, anything they needed to be upgraded, or wanted to upgrade, or just wanted a file system basically. So I would say anyone starting in that, I would say hone on what you love. And it might take and don't get discouraged if it takes a minute to understand what you like, because like again, it's broad and it's a lot. I would say once you hone in onto what that field in IT that you love, or that component, learn about it. Learn about anything. See how it works in your day-to-day life. See how it works with computers, your phones, TVs, your house. Just see in that component that you love, and see how it's used in everyday life. And then once you do that, you'll start to just researching things about, like, let's say someone, it's just Wi-Fi. I know it's broad, but let's just or cloud, a day-to-day basis, as far as data in your phone, your laptop, game systems, like that's all that stuff is technology. So I would say hone onto your component, look up your component, see how it's used in day-to-day basis, and then study it. And study it and see how it's incorporated in jobs. See how it's incorporated in jobs and study it, and then go from there. I would say go from there and see what companies, uses that component or emphasizes more on that component, because there's always some contracts and companies that emphasize more than others. Like some contracts will just focus on security, some will focus on just cloud collaboration, some will focus again like on just only Army stuff, and some will only focus on like Microsoft, because I was in Microsoft and everything was Microsoft. So everything was Microsoft, Windows, and Azure desktop. So focus on the component, find the component, focus on it, see how it's used in everyday life. Learn, study from it, and then look up companies that hone in on that emphasis, and then just research and study from there. I would say research and study from there, and most likely just a cert on that. 9 times out of 10 is on a cert on that component that you love. But you're gonna, if that route you want to go is also to do a cert after that, to see if, study and learning incorporating together. But I definitely would say that, as someone starting the IT, and don't get overwhelmed, because it's a lot. Again, don't rush the process. Like I said, your component of IT of finding what you love can be from a year or two. Like I didn't know what I really wanted to do with IT until probably I'll probably say like two years ago, maybe 3. I didn't know if I would do security. I didn't know if I wanted to do, like be an Izzy. I didn't know if I wanted to just do cloud. I didn't know if I wanted to be with queries. I didn't know if I wanted to be a data technician. And all those jobs are on my resume because I was trying to experience what I love. And I did love all of them, but that was something that wasn't my niche that I wanted to do every day. And, that's okay. And that's why I would tell people IT, like it takes time. And once you find it, you will. Like I remember when I first started, I wanted to do machine learning. I wanted to learn AI. I wanted to do robots. Now it's like, all right, let me get older. That's like way up there. Like,
you're like, ooh, I'm not there.
Like that's a lot of coding right there. Yeah. Like I'm good for now. I'm still high up, but I'm like, let me stay here. But yeah, no, that's, Lord willing, I'll, once I, keep learning, I will touch that one day. But that's that's where I'm at right now. It's really what I wanted to be. I want to be a hands-on integrator, seeing a system work and then seeing it deployed in real life in real time. And I'm finally here, but it takes time. It takes time. So that's what I would say is be patient, take time, and don't be depressed, and just keep moving forward. Like just keep moving forward and push hard, because this field is it's a lot, and it can be overwhelming at times. But if you just stay focused on your track with the point that you focus on, and you do research on that, and you love that, you'll be fine.
Yeah, man. I personally, I've been in this field for 4 years now, and in those 4 years, I've worked 7 different jobs. And I
Yeah.
think maybe just now might have an idea of what it is that I want to do. So
That same.
it's definitely a process. Um, Definitely a process. Like you said, just go out there, do your research, try everything you have the opportunity to try. And tech's a big field, so there's plenty of things you can do.
Yes, sir.
Um, I try to tell people there's something for everybody.
Yeah.
If your passion is art, you could be a graphic designer, you could be a website developer, there's all these different things you can do. If your passion is business, as you talked to earlier, there's things you can do in tech, business related,
Yep.
cybersecurity, programming, there's animation, there's video game development. There's just so many different things you can do in tech. So it definitely do your research, figure out, what you think you're interested in, go after it.